Allie from Allie's Best, and today I'm going to talk to you about adoption, specifically my adoption. To start, November is National Adoption Awareness Month, and as an adopted person, I thought it would be great to share with you my adoption story and answer some of your questions about adoption. I have a bunch of questions to answer for you, and I got questions for my mom and birth mom, so I'll be doing videos with them also. So it'll be like a little 3-video series. I was adopted at birth. My mom and my birth mom actually met each other, I think a couple times before the day I was born. And so that was all orchestrated, and the adoption was all figured out before I was even here on the planet. I was in the womb. They had figured that out, and I don't know too much about that, so one or both of them will speak to that. But basically, my mom wanted to adopt someone, my birth mom wanted to give a baby up for adoption, and they were able to find each other through an adoption agency, I think, and they met and decided that this would work, and they went forward with the adoption. But I was born in California, and Southern California, and then I moved up to Northern California with my mom when I was like 2 days old, and lived there ever since. And that's my adoption story. Not a very long story, is it? I mean, it's long for them. The adoption story is really more so like long and interesting for my mom and birth mom, because like they were there for the whole, experience of, trying to have a baby and not being able to, and going out on your own and finding a baby and all that good stuff. My mom is a single mom. She adopted me on her own, but got help raising me from my dad, who's a family member, who took the dad spot in my life, so I call him Dad. Let's just get into the questions. I'm all over the place, so let's look at the questions. When were you told that you were adopted? I was told that I was adopted as long as I can remember, so I must have been very, very little, or like from birth. I really don't remember a time when I didn't know I was adopted. Have you ever been in contact with your birth parents, and are you curious about them? I have been in contact with my birth mother, and I'll be honest, growing up, I think I was a little curious about them, my birth parents, but I really, really wanted to know if I had siblings. I was so invested in the idea of having a brother or a sister, and I don't have any birth siblings, as it turns out. But yeah, I have actually now met my birth mother in person. We text, we email and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. She's Bowie's BG, birth grandma. So we are in contact, and I'll tell you the story of how that happened. Okay, the Hanukkah before I got pregnant with Bowie, I got 23andMe as a gift, and I wanted to do it to just like see who it connected me with. And I had a lot of friends who were finding out like interesting information and long lost relatives and stuff like that from 23andMe, and I thought that seems like a really simple way to potentially meet birth family members, or get in contact with birth family members. And I just wanted to see, 23andMe is kind of interesting. So I took the 23andMe immediately, basically, and sent it away and waited to get the results. And when I got the results and I signed on and like tried to see who I was connected to, neither of my birth parents had actually done one of these, but I did have like a second or third cousin on there, like a pretty closely related cousin. And so I tried to message her through the app, and nothing came of it. And I tried to message her on Facebook, and nothing came of it. And so I said to myself, I will friend request her on Facebook, and if she accepts and we talk, then that's good, but this will be my last try. So I friend request my second cousin or third cousin on Facebook. She gets it. She eventually checks her messages, and she tells me that she is also adopted, that she also found her biological sister through Facebook and the internet, and I'm not exactly sure how they did it, but she connected the dots, and she took my photo and sent it over to her birth sister and was like, this person says they're related to us. They connected us on 23andMe. What do you think? Do you think she's related to me on our side of the family? And that cousin of mine, we later find out, is like, oh my gosh, she definitely looks like us. She definitely looks like my grandpa. Like, she is one of us, I think. And so I tell them, like, hey, I have some pictures. Hi, baby. I have some pictures of my birth family. Why don't I show them to you, and you tell me if anyone looks familiar. I show her pictures of my birth mother, of the day I was born and who was there. And she's like, oh my gosh, yes, that's my cousin. This is, this is all connected. Absolutely. And then that's when things started spilling in. It was like they talked to their mom, who talked to their sister, and I'm just getting all these messages from all these birth family members. And then eventually one of my second cousins from birth says, do you want to talk to your birth mom? She wants to talk to you, but you need to be the one to reach out. And I was like, yeah, for sure. Can you send me her Facebook? And so I Facebook messaged her and said, like, hi, I think I'm your birth daughter. Nice to meet you. And it was like definitely a little bit weird at first, but she told me that she had actually like found my Facebook a long time ago, back before I like knew about privacy settings. And then so like she had been in the loop about how to find me and my life for like a little while, and I had looked for her on the internet and like had never been able to find her. So it was just really funny. And the whole time, I don't know like how into this my mom was, because my mom is like not the most secure person. She's like has insecurities about like her age and in comparison to my birth mom and things like that, but she'll talk more about that. Oh, Booba. My birth mother had a mutual friend in common with my birth father still, and through those mutual friends, we were able to find out that my birth father was actually really, really sick. He was dying of kidney failure, and so I said, pass on my information, pass on my phone number, pass it through those people, and he can reach out to me if he wants to. Turns out, I had found him on Facebook when I was like 15 years old, just from like name and city crossovers, and had messaged him, and I don't know if he ever read it. But anyway, so I got in contact with them. My birth mother actually like flew out here and met my mom again, and met my dad, and met Pat. And I was pregnant, so she didn't get to meet Bowie, but she got to hear about Bowie. And that was really fun. And we did dim sum and went to a museum and like had some one-on-one time throughout the day and did dinner together. And it was just kind of nice. Like, I feel like we have sort of like similar senses of humor and similar temperaments. And it was just, yeah, it was really chill. Like, I know that meeting a birth parent can go so many different ways, and I was definitely nervous for it, but it was a lot more chill and relaxed than I thought it was going to be. I was really nervous that it was going to be like super overwhelming, or that she was gonna be like super emotional. Sorry, Marcy, not to like throw you under the bus, but I was nervous about that because for me this whole thing was really novel and fun, and I never really thought about, because I'm selfish, I never thought about what it would feel like for everybody else involved. I only thought about what it was like for me, and I didn't really take the time to think like that might be a big deal for her and big deal for my mom. And so I never really thought about that stuff, like I said, because I'm selfish. But in the end, it all worked out great. And then I'll just throw in this little side story about my birth father. So I was in my classroom about to leave, and I'm pretty pregnant with Bowie, and I get this phone call from Colorado. which is where my birth father lives. And I think like, oh wow, this could be him. And it is not him, it is his friend. And his friend is basically like, your birth father really needs a kidney and he didn't know you existed, and he was going to get a kidney from his sister, but they're in a fight right now, so she's not going to give him a kidney, and you should just really reach out to him. You should really reach out to call. Like basically calling and asking me for a kidney, which like, whatever, I get it. You're like dying, so you are going to try anything you can try, but like, call me yourself. And I couldn't donate a kidney even if I wanted to because I was pregnant with Bowie. But like, how is that like the first interaction? Anyway, so his friend tells me to reach out, and that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm like, he'll call if he wants to talk to me. And unfortunately, and I feel bad about this, but unfortunately my birth father died from these kidney issues before I could talk to him. And I do feel sad that that's what happened. And it does make me wish I had just found a way to reach out on my own, but I also, yeah, I don't know. That's where we're gonna leave that. Let's go to the next question. I'm looking down at my notes. Did I know why I was put up for adoption? I did not really know why growing up I was put up for adoption, and I don't necessarily think in all situations that's like good information to share with someone necessarily. Like, that might be something they don't need to know if it's like a really negative circumstance. Now I feel like I have a good understanding of why I was put up for adoption, and I'm good with it. I like it, you know, I just can see there being situations where you wouldn't necessarily want to tell a kid why they were put up for adoption. What terms do you prefer for your birth mother? I like birth mother. I like her name. I like she's Bowie's BG. Birth grandmother. I like those. How did being adopted affect how you felt while pregnant? I've never been pregnant without being adopted, so I don't know if that feels different, but I was always really excited to become a mom because my first biological family member I would meet was going to be my baby, and I thought that was really magical and really cool. But it turns out I met my birth mom before I had Bowie, so I met my birth mom first. But other than that, you know, we definitely considered, we had a lot of fertility issues coming up with Bowie, and we considered fostering to adopt and adoption and took adoption classes and all this stuff. So I think I was just more open to the world of adoption than I probably would have been had I not been adopted myself. What's your earliest memory about being adopted? The earliest like negative memory I have was like people thinking that I wasn't related to my parents because they're both white, and I'm not just white, I am biracial. And yeah. And so like lots of situations would happen around that when they would ask like, you know, make weird assumptions about my family, or like my dad was chasing me out of park once and another dad was like, leave that little girl alone, to my dad, and it made me really upset. And you know, like kids just like making comments like, oh, you're adopted. And like, yes, that's factual and shouldn't hurt anyone's feelings, but like the way it's said hurts your feelings, you know? Stuff like that. Was I adopted by people of a different ethnicity, and was it challenging? I was adopted by a person of a different ethnicity, and like everything else, I've never lived with a parent who is the same ethnicity as me. So I don't know how different it would be, but I think it opened my eyes to like a different way of seeing like race, ethnicity, and culture than other people see. And, and which is good. And then like, sometimes I think my parents like don't fully understand like my experience in the world, but they think they understand it more than they do. No problem, like, no, not dissing them in any way, but like, well, they're white people and they've never been a minority in this country. So like, I mean, they're Jewish, so in that way they're a minority, but like, they've never been black and thusly like can't exactly understand my experience. Someone asked about being raised Jewish. And I'm gonna ask everybody that question because it wasn't exactly clear who it was addressed to. But I love being Jewish. Like, it's funny because sometimes when people, it's not funny, but when people see me, they often don't think like, oh, there's a Jewish person. But the people who are closest to me say like, but you are so Jewish. Which, what does that even mean? We won't get into it. That's another video. But yeah, I am Jewish, and my birth mother is not Jewish. My mom is Jewish, and my dad is culturally Jewish. And yeah, I'm Jewish, and it's awesome. Okay, you guys, that's all the questions I have right now for this video. If you are interested in this topic, come back and check out my videos with my mom and my birth mom. In fact, make sure you subscribe below so you don't miss the next videos about adoption, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.